Welcome to the Station Wagon.
This is the podcast where my brother and I are going to give up something we take for granted and tell you how it goes.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride. We're going to be giving up sitting. Have you ever heard of sitting?
This is a thing I am familiar with, but I want to hear more. I'm hoping you will define it in excruciating detail.
Of course, none of what we talk about is a recommendation.
Yeah, in other words, please don't give up chairs and then sue us because we did this really stupid thing.
Right, exactly. Hey, Julie, got some questions for you. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready for the quiz portion of the day.
We'll see if this is a shtick that stays with us.
Yeah. I think you just like that older brotherly kind of thing where you get to be like really smart.
Yes, let me pretend to be the really smart one here.
Okay.
We both know that's not true. According to many reliable sources, what did Donald Rumsfeld not use while working at his desk?
Democrats.
Good answer, but no.
Thank you.
Yes, let's try again. In addition to horrible overhead lighting, what other life-limiting feature can be found in most workplaces?
Coffee makers with extra mold.
This is really, you're getting close.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. What culture is attributed to having created the first chairs?
Okay, I know this one because I looked it up on Wikipedia. The Egyptians. I mean, the ancient ones, not the modern
Right.
Egyptians.
So, in the Egyptians were one of the first recorded people, like 2,500 years BCE, who were recorded to actually using a platform that was raised up with a back. So let's talk about what sitting is and what a chair is. I think we just have to level set a little bit,
No,
right?
no, it's true because you
Just so we're
can't.
on the same page, right?
Yeah, you can't assume that our audience all has the same experience.
Right. A chair to one person could be something completely different to somebody else.
Yeah.
So chairs. So the definition of chairs that I found that made the most sense was just shut up and listen for a second.
Okay.
A movable seat with a back for a single person. So
Yeah.
answer to those quiz questions that I just asked you. Donald Rumsfeld never sat at a chair while working at his desk.
Are
He
you
would
serious?
stand up for 8 to 10 hours a day.
That just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, and there's actually many articles, one of which I actually read or at least skimmed through talking
As
about.
opposed to the ones where you just looked at like the tagline and then
Right,
you're like,
exactly,
okay.
totally. Right. He was commenting about the use of standing as a method of torture and talking about what's the problem with making people stand for a few hours. I stand for 8 to 10 hours a day while I'm at my work.
Oh my gosh.
So
And
fantastic.
he's older too.
He was like
Okay.
70 years old when that came out. Yeah. Yeah. So he did it for his health. Also in the workplace, chairs are the life-limiting feature.
Not the bosses.
Another one,
Oh,
right?
okay.
There's research that's been done fairly recently. So a study of 47 different studies about a sedentary lifestyle. They found that there's a pattern where if you're sedentary and sitting most of the day, you will actually take years off your life.
Oh my
And
gosh.
even exercising regularly doesn't help. Sitting will kill you earlier than having a work environment where you can stand up.
I mean, for the record, saying sitting will kill you might be a bit of an exaggeration. I'm guessing that there's some correlations, like people who sit for 8 to 12 hours a day, also are like snacking the whole time, maybe? I don't know. I just don't want to say, well, Mark and Julie said sitting will kill you.
You know what? We will include the references.
Oh, good idea.
Okay, so according to the studies that they found, sitting 3 hours a day can reduce your lifespan by 2 years. Yeah. And one of the suggestions that they give is if you watch TV at night, don't zoom ahead during the commercials with your DVR, but instead walk around during the commercials or at least stand up during the show break.
Oh my gosh.
And there's even websites like juststand.org that you can go to. And I'm sure they're probably going to have server problems now because I just buzzed with them.
That's marketing. But I mean, what about like if you're in a meeting at work? Have you ever been in a really long meeting and someone just gets up and starts walking around?
Yes, I do, and I usually consider that to be a power play. But and we'll get to what we're going to do, me and you, about this whole not sitting thing in a minute here. But
Okay.
So health is. Let me just talk about
Okay.
the other reasons about standing. So there's for health reasons, right? You can also not sit to torture somebody. For example, in the movie from the 50s called The Bridge Over River Kwai, there was an officer who was made to stand all day in the heat because he was protesting that the Japanese army people in the movie were going to make the officers work alongside the enlisted men, as opposed to what the war conventions were saying. So he was made to stand all day in the heat, and that was really hard on him. So two big reasons to not sit. One is for health and one is for torture. And there may be other reasons out there. I just was too lazy to find them. We are going to talk about not sitting for the health reasons.
Okay.
That's my assumption that I'm going into this with.
Well, I think it's part of it. I think it's also just part of our whole thing of the station wagon is we just take something we take for granted. Like both you and I have desk jobs. And so I sit so much. And when I get home, I sit. And I'm pretty active, but still sitting is a large majority of my day.
Okay. So in this episode, in our episode number 1, we are going to be giving up sitting down.
Wait, did we talk about squatting yet?
Oh, you know what? I totally missed that in our notes. Squatting. So yes, Julie, I hear that squatting's a thing too. I'm not into squatting so much. My body can't actually do it. And I was talking about this episode with my family, and I asked my 7-year-old to squat. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just genetics, but she is unable to do it.
Well, she probably did it naturally when she was a toddler, because babies and toddlers can naturally squat. If you get down on your knees to talk to them, they will squat down to talk to you. So first of all, I'm not a kinesiology expert. I am a psychologist. So all of this is research I Googled. So there's that. And a couple books I read. Also, another note.
You read a couple books about squatting?
Hold your horses. You actually gave me the book I'm going to talk about.
Oh, and awesome.
I exaggerated when I said a couple books. There is a book I'm going to talk about. Okay. So first of all,
a million times do not exaggerate.
The first of many references to the amazing TV show, The Young Ones. Okay, so if you Google squatting versus sitting, I just want to warn you, you're going to get a lot of info about making a bowel movement and how it's a lot easier to pass a bowel movement if you're squatting rather than sitting. And one
of the references is to an Amazon product that you can buy to help you squat over the toilet.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, so
in case, it depends how seriously you're actually going to take this.
We'll see. We might not cover that in this episode. I think changing our bowel habits might be a subsequent one. We'll see how this pilot goes. But okay, you might not remember this, but you bought me a book maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, called Going Abroad. And what it's about, you gave it to me right before I traveled to Europe, but after I graduated from college. So yeah, 20 years ago. And it's all about bathroom habits and what to expect in toilets all around the world. It talks about if you're Western, just start squatting in your bathtub as a place to practice and pee in your tub just to kind of get good at it. Here's some of the pros for squatting. One, it's a good life skill. If you're gonna pee in the woods and you're a woman, you can aim your pee a little bit better. It can benefit your health. Some of the research I found.
Now wait, I hope you're going to quote research that says it increases your lifespan by 2 years.
No, I'm not. But it could potentially strengthen your back muscles, some hip flexibility, and maybe even your core strength. Although, again, this is mostly from Googling. Okay, but there's some cons to squatting too. You can't just start squatting because inexperienced squatters can get injured. So,
like what? What kind of injury can you expect?
So, baseball catchers in the United States get meniscus tears in their knees a lot from squatting. Oh, yeah. Also,
why are you laughing at these poor people?
Because
why is this funny to you? These people have terrible injuries.
You're right. Let's take this a little bit more. Okay, I'm really sorry to our, I've just
meniscusly impaired people that might be listening to this podcast.
I've just alienated all baseball catchers.
There are a lot of baseball catchers.
It's true. Also, sometimes in yoga, according to one blog post I found, some folks can get meniscus cartilage tears from some of the squatting moves. So you got to be careful. You can't just start squatting and squat for hours a day. So I don't think if we completely give up sitting, we can replace it immediately with squatting. Well, I might be able to do it a little bit more because I do squats. Do you do squats as an exercise?
No, I believe exercise is bad for you.
Oh yeah,
I know too many people who try to exercise and then hurt themselves by doing things like tearing the meniscuses in their knees.
or they died anyway.
Or they died anyway 2 years earlier. Sounds like in lieu of sitting, you are going to squat. I do not plan on doing any squatting in lieu of sitting.
But how can you reach your desk?
Our work gives us these really nice desks that go up and down with a motor and a
Oh.
switch. So I'm going to stand for the 2 weeks between our podcasts.
Are you going to do like calf raises and things, or like
just stand there and do my work?
Okay.
What is this? Yes, this is not jazzercise.
Well, because one of the nice things about sitting in a chair is you can do like leg extensions and stretch your legs a little bit. And if you're standing, it's really hard to stretch. I mean, you might not even realize you're stretching.
Well, yeah. So if I ever feel like I need to stretch while I'm standing there doing my work, making Visio diagrams or writing a wiki page, I will turn around and do like calf stretches against the wall.
Okay. Well, so
I don't want to diminish your stretching idea. I mean, I think that's really reasonable.
Yeah.
I just think it's dumb.
Okay, fair enough. Well, so I work in trailer. It's pretty rustic. It's surrounded by barbed wire, so that's kind of cool. We don't have fancy moving desks. I work in a bullpen with 8 other people. It's kind of like, imagine The Office, but like in a military setting with like no windows and barbed wire. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. It's actually it's an amazing place to work, but the accommodations are not the greatest. So, yeah.
I also should add that I have, besides the stand-up, sit-down desk, I have one of those ergonomic mats that you stand on to absorb shock.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we're very, very lucky to work where we work.
Well, my desk is right outside 2 bathrooms.
That's pretty good.
Talk to me after lunch.
I plan to stand at work. I'm going to stand at my desk, and I'm going to stand at meetings as long as it's not weird.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely stand at meetings, except that I do briefings for important people, and so then it's...
Wait a minute, what are you implying about my life?
That you meet with peers and plan out work and stuff, and so if you're in a meeting where it's like a working meeting, then they're like, oh, Mark's just doing that weird thing. Versus if I have a 2-star general visiting and I'm doing a PowerPoint about our work and trying to secure a budget, might be a little weird. But
okay, I take that. That's fair.
Okay. But we agreed before we started this, we wouldn't do anything to jeopardize our jobs. At my desk, it'll be fine for me to stand as long as I can reach my keyboard, which that's the thing. I don't know how it's going to work. I might have to be on my knees or squatting. I think
here's an idea. No, here's an idea. I mean, you're not like super tall or anything.
True.
So maybe temporarily, if you have it, if you can't get it from work, or if you can, use reams of paper to lift your monitors and stuff.
Oh yeah, or at least just the keyboard. That's a great idea. Okay, so I'll do some adaptation, and I don't think it'll be too distracting to everybody else. They're used to me doing weird stuff.
Okay.
But what about at home? Because I'm planning on doing this at home too.
Oh yeah, I'm not planning on doing this at home at all.
Why? Why are you chickening out?
First of all, let's frame this as I'm not chickening out. I am putting my foot down to your stupidity.
Here's the thing, though. But do it at home.
Well, I think it's going to be hard enough just to do it at the office.
But
coming home and standing at home, what? So, like, how would that actually work? Would I not sit down to eat ever at home?
Yeah, you would stand while you eat, and think about how entertaining it's going to be to your family.
Oh my gosh. What about reading my kids' books at night?
Yeah, you'll squat.
I'm not squatting. We've already established
you'll go on your knees. Well,
Can I lie down?
Yes, you can absolutely recline. So, I mean, it's not like if you fail at this task that, like, a horrible thing happens to you. You'll just be learning about yourself. For me, truthfully, I think I might be able to make it at home and not at work, just because of, if I'm typing for 2 hours straight on reams of paper, I don't know how it's gonna go. But I think at home, like, I guess, so right now I'm recording a podcast. I could easily stand up while we're doing this instead of sitting in front of my computer. Or when I'm watching TV with the kids, if I am standing up, I could be, cleaning. Doesn't that sound relaxing? Or, stretching or something. I'm just interested in finding out, if I'm not sitting, what am I going to be doing instead? Because I don't think I'm just going to be standing there. I think that I have enough nervous energy that if I'm not sitting, I'm going to be like doing stuff. Maybe next time we talk, I'll have like learned a new language or something.
I get it. But, you're very crafty, and a lot of your crafts require you to be sitting down and have a lap, don't
That's
they?
very true. Yeah, I probably will not be doing a lot of knitting or crocheting in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Interesting. Okay, cool. So you talked me into it. I will try to stand at home as well.
Okay. I mean, with all these challenges that we've come up with, there's going to be the things that we don't really expect. So what do you think is going to be the hardest thing for you?
I have already used my standing desk for 4 to 5 hours at a time.
Oh, you cheater.
And I think just making it longer, going for the full day, is going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And then coming home and continuing to stand is going to be a challenge. So I've got to make the most out of my commute and really enjoy that sit.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, so we will sit in our vehicles.
Right. Yep.
I will sit when I use the bathroom.
Very good.
What we're going to do now is take a quick break. Actually, it's going to be a 2-week break. You're going to listen to the Pleasure Kills, and we are going to fill you in on our hopefully amazing success when we come back.
I hope that's clear, that we're going away for 2 weeks, but they're just taking a break for 15 seconds.
It will, because this kinds of things happen, and it's going to start back. Yeah, they're not going to turn off the podcast. So we're going to not sit for 2 weeks, huh?
Stupid punk, yes.
Okay, I'm just checking to make sure that that's the thing that we agreed on.
I was on a phone call and I was like, I can go to the bathroom after this. And then about 30 minutes later, I still had the customer on the line, and I was like, I can't tell him to just hold on for a minute. I literally raised the desk so that I could stand there and kind of do the cross your legs stance. Yeah.
I really like it because if I'm playing computer games, I don't feel like I'm sitting on my butt. Like I'm actually using like at least some kind of muscles.
Well, a full-time teller's going to be standing 8 hours a day. Most stations have the rubber mats that people stand on. A lot of them actually kick off their shoes behind the teller row where nobody can see, and you should see some of the girls wear those stilettos to work, but it's not long before they kick them off.
Preparing a meal from scratch we do almost every single night, but it almost like gets canceled out if I'm getting up and moving around. I'm not honoring that time.
I don't feel like I need to be constrained to either sit or stand. This is like a happy medium.
But do you find that like you won't be able to feel the lower parts of your legs in like 20 minutes?
No, because I'm not as old as you.
I actually don't really like standing at my desk.
If you had to, how long do you think you could do it? Like how many days in a row and how many hours each day do you think you could do it?
0 days, maybe 2 hours.
I sit so I can cover myself in a blanket because it's freezing.
He's recording for his podcast. I don't know.
Thank you, Angela, David, Janine, Hillary, Christy, John, and Courtney.
And we're back. It's August 3rd, and it's been 2 weeks since we recorded the first half of this episode. And before we go any further, I'd like to offer an apology to people who stand at their jobs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And these include cashiers, retail sales associates, museum guides, barbers, waiters and waitresses, cooks, chefs, letter carriers, painters, bank tellers, security guards, factory workers, bakers, dishwashers, floral designers, restaurant hosts and hostesses, construction workers, and glaziers.
What was that last one? Like people who glaze pottery?
Somebody whose job it is to install glass, especially in windows and doors.
Well, they also get to drive a little bit.
Depends. It could be a walking glazier, a door-to-door glazier.
Oh, that's even worse. This podcast, the whole point was to take something we take for granted and then switch it up or get rid of it. And I definitely appreciate sitting. I will never take for granted a chair again.
You know, my first job when I was 16 was at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And if you had time to lean, you had time to clean. There wasn't really any sitting down when you were on shift. I don't remember it being this difficult.
I'm fit and I exercise pretty much every day, but for the first half of this experience, I was exhausted by the end of the day. I went to sleep immediately after the kids.
Yeah. I found that exact same thing. I was really tired out from this too. I went and did some more research about how standing can be dangerous.
Okay.
So first of all, this is from a 2005 article out of the UK, so take it with a grain of salt.
That's British.
Because, revolution and stuff.
Yeah.
Individuals spending most of the day on their feet are at greater risk of health problems, including varicose veins, poor circulation, and swelling in the feet and legs, foot problems, joint damage, heart and circulatory problems. Lower limb disorders caused by standing cause over 2 million days of sick leave a year.
Especially for people who are doing it for 8 hours a day.
Actually, a couple more dangerous things. One is hemorrhoids.
Oh, yeah.
And also, so this, so standing can make hemorrhoids worse if you have them. But also, I found that prolonged sitting or standing, or I guess being pregnant, can cause hemorrhoids. So, I guess there's just no win for losing there. And then one study that I found from Cornell, they found that with stand-up, sit-down desks, like the slick kind I've got at work, people start to lean.
Oh, yeah, I did that too.
That's great, Julie. Good. That's awesome. Good. Way to connect and eventually revert to sitting most often. So I found myself doing that a lot too, just like leaning against the desk. Doing other things like having a desk bike or desk walker leads to worse typing and mousing skills. And I just thought I'd add that in there.
And that is very true. Mark knows I use a desk cycle every day, but I don't use it when I'm typing because my typing is just terrible with it. So I use it when I'm on long TCons and things like that, or while I'm warming up my computer.
Okay, so cool. That's true. So you have basically proved that fact. That's awesome. So you don't.
As a scientist, I don't want to say I just proved that fact, but yes.
And what the hell is a TCon?
Teleconference.
Right. I thought we agreed not to abbreviate anything.
No abbreves?
No breves.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, standing and sitting are both bad for you. Is what I found.
But in extremes. Like, don't be a stupid chump like us and do it for 2 weeks straight.
If you have to and you don't have a choice, there are some things that one can do, which I actually didn't try to do. I didn't try to do anything to help just because I wanted to.
You wanted to suffer?
Yeah, I wanted to see how bad it could really get. Like stretching, calf raises.
Oh, yeah, I did all that stuff.
The other surprising thing that I found was, although I thought that a lot of people were using their stand-up desks very regularly at work, nobody's using it very regularly or very much. Your desktop arrangement, as we see in the picture of you at your desk, is pretty awful. And, it just really stands out.
Yeah, I mean, I stuck with it the entire 2 weeks. I do go to a lot of meetings, and I tried to stand in all of them, unless it was one I was in with, like, my higher leadership, who I didn't want to be looking really ridiculous in front of.
The first week I had no in-person meetings. They were all teleconferences.
Oh.
TCons. And I was able to stand for all of them. I had one in-person meeting the second week. And at that meeting, I stood, and it was in a smallish office. So yeah, I was like towering over the two people sitting there, but neither one of them asked me what I was doing.
Oh, they didn't know about the podcast or anything.
They may have. I tried to be nonchalant. I tried not to do other power play things like I didn't cross my arms or anything that would have been more distracting than just standing there. Yeah, it felt really weird to be in a room where everyone was sitting except for me.
Here's what I learned. After the first few days, I really kind of started enjoying it. It was
Which
fun.
part? The attention or the standing?
Okay, you know what? That might be part of it. The standing up. I mean, for like the morning. By the late afternoon, it was really hard and painful. But for like the morning part, I was kind of excited to be working my standing muscles, I guess. I don't know. Instead of just sitting in a chair. At work, it really wasn't that bad. Unless it was a very, very long day with a lot of typing. Because it was hard for me to type while standing up. But because I had my makeshift desk. The the thing that was hardest for me was relaxing. So at home, I just found it really hard to just kind of sit back and relax at all. I found myself cleaning a lot, which, is very rare for me, but also baking a lot, which I do often. But every day I was like, well, I'm standing up. May as well get together some cookie dough. And at work, I was pretty productive. I mean, I don't think I did really well on intense thought work, but in general, I was productive.
I did have a lot of that kind of, thought work, whatever that, of course, that we needed to do. And I found that I was getting pretty distracted easily while I was standing there at work. And I couldn't decide if it was just the nature of standing or because my feet hurt.
Well, okay, so I have two thoughts on that. So one is shoes make such a big difference. And I don't know, I mean, you've got man shoes, so maybe they're all the same. But my very first day, I wore like some ballet flats, which lasted about 45 minutes until I put on...
Like no support or anything?
Exactly. And so then from then on, I just wore running shoes the whole time. I'd like wear my fancy shoes whenever I had to go to a meeting and then change into sneakers. And even when I was at home, I couldn't just be barefoot in the kitchen, when I was teleworking or relaxing or being at home, relaxing in quotes, relaxing with my children. I was still wearing sneakers. But the other thing is that my coworkers felt like I was available the whole day because I was standing up. It's like they looked at me and my standing up communicated, hello, how can I help you? Would you like to talk about your day? Would you like help with your work? Would you like to talk about your weekend?
Did you actually ask them about that, or is that just your perception?
That's my perception. And again, for like the first couple of days, I chalked it up to, I'm doing this new weird thing. Everyone wants to know about it.
Right.
But then it would be like people across the room would be like, oh, hey, Julie, what do you think? But also maybe because I was so visible, I didn't put on like my mean, don't bother me face, but maybe I put on my like, hello, I'm helpful face. I don't know. I mean, I just had the sense that I was less private, that, I'm right there. But that also helped because when I was at home and I was just by myself, like before the kids would get home while I was making dinner, I was really tempted to sit down and like no one was there to know, but I still
This is really, this is a really important distinction. So I did not stand at home.
Mark. And that, I was just about to say, the hardest thing for me were two things. One was just relaxing, and the other was when I looked on Facebook and saw a picture of you enjoying sushi with your family while sitting, and then you revealed to me, and this is like more than halfway through our experiment, oh yeah, I'm not sitting at home.
Yeah, but in the first half of this episode, I believe that you strong-armed me into telling you that I would sit or stand at home.
Yes, with my superior logic. I'll replay that right now. Diddle-doo, 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 diddle-doo.
Okay, cool. So you talked me into it. I will try to stand at home as well.
Diddle-doo, 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 diddle-doo.
Yeah. And I thought better of it and decided not to.
But you didn't communicate. And meanwhile, I was like, can we just stop this after 1 week? I'm in pain. And you're like, no.
But then you found out I wasn't standing at home. And what did you do?
I felt really superior and I continued to stand.
Very good. So it doesn't matter what I do at all.
Okay. The last thing I want to say is that I do think I ate and drank less during the day because it wasn't all comfy.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the first day notes and I just am so lame. So 3 hours in, I wrote, my back is hurting. I'm looking forward to lunch for the sitting down, not for the food. Because I had to go out to a lunch meeting.
Okay. So you got to sit.
So I got to sit. So did you ever experience that, like thinking, oh boy, I can't wait to do X, Y, or Z for the sitting aspect of it?
Oh my gosh. So we had this really long briefing, maybe 2 hours. I think it actually just seemed like 2 hours. It was probably an hour. And I was thinking, oh, it's going to be so awesome to sit. And we had someone from outside our organization coming in. So, I needed to be very polite and sit, not just stand and be weird. But unfortunately, she was really friendly and we were chatting beforehand and someone mentioned the podcast thing and my stupid standing experiment. And she said, oh, you can stand. I don't mind. And, and my face fell and a little piece of me died.
I drive an hour and 15 minutes one direction to work. I hate my commute, but I was looking forward to it.
Oh, what about the joy of going to the bathroom, huh?
That was pretty kick-ass, yes. Awesome. Pretty good.
My husband thought I was sick at one point. Are you okay in there? I'm like playing with my phone and like, I'm okay. Don't tell the kids where I am.
I wrote, I'm not looking forward to going to work today because my feet hurt so bad.
Marky.
I mean, well, it was just such a dumb thing that knowing that I would have to stand on my feet again made me not look forward to going to a place that I like going to.
So you can imagine if you're doing that at a place you don't love working at. How fun is it to work at
Joe's Snot Palace? One of my coworkers, Molly, said to me on that third day as she was sitting down, it's so nice to sit down.
Rich at my work says, okay, what is it now? As soon as he sees me stacking up stuff. Another coworker, Boyle, says, I'm just sitting here because I can. Oh, this chair feels so luxurious.
Oh, man.
Patience said, now face north, and then walked away. Like stand.
Like
in the,
stand.
Yeah,
Good.
That was the best one. Until a delightful local psychologist named Nina Schechter said, my children are nuts! My children are nuts! So that's...
Did she do that? Like, she called you to tell you that?
No, I was talking to her and explaining, this is our mother, what a podcast is, and what this is. She knew it had something to do with a station wagon. I will say for the first few days I was doing a lot of squatting, as previously discussed, but I just
Because you wanted the extra exercise, right?
No,
you were squatting because that was an alternative to standing.
Right. Not doing squats, but yeah, like just squatting down to...
What were you squatting, like what kind of activities were you squatting for?
Well,
besides like going... I don't even want to know if it was like bathroom related.
No. I agreed not to like talk about things much in the bathroom, but
right.
No, like at one point I needed to like collate something, and I was like, oh, I could just squat down and do this. and folding laundry, but at home. But I gotta say, I felt so ridiculous. I mean, squatting just still felt like I'm a little toddler in the middle of my office.
So did you stand during your meals at home?
One time I sat was when we had a dinner party here, and I didn't even think about it consciously. I set the table and everything, and I was planning on standing, but I made a pot pie that would be really hard to eat while standing. And I just sat without realizing it, but then I made the conscious decision to just sit, drink a really nice glass of wine, and eat pot pie with friends outside. So, yeah, I did not regret it. But I will admit that was after I knew you were sitting.
The only time that I got any sort of crap for it was at work when a coworker of mine saw me sitting, and it was a total accident, and I quickly got up. But she came out of nowhere, like, sprung at me and said, "You're sitting! What are you doing?"
This is our first episode, but if you have ideas for us, please send your suggestions to the wagonpodcast@gmail.com, because we want some additional ways to torture ourselves and learn how to appreciate the little things, like chairs.
You could also send your ideas to our Twitter handle at WagonPod.
And you can find us on Facebook. Also, please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or however you get podcasts. But if you can review us, that would be awesome, and tell people about it. I do want to thank the Pleasure Kills for the use of the song Modern Problems.
Thank you. We love your song.
Next time on the Station Wagon.
And I'm giving up. Let me just repeat it one more time for you. Bad language, strong language, coarse language, foul language, bad words, vulgar language, lewd language, swearing, cursing, cussing, and the using of expletives.
Okay, but lewd language. What about poopy head?
That's a swear.
Okay, what about
Those voices you just heard were some of my friends.
I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting you to beep so well.
Thank you. I practiced that.